London Boulevard, which is a sort of London thriller directed by William Monahan, who won the Oscar for writing the screenplay of The Departed, Martin Scorsese's remake of Infernal Affairs 1 and 2, in fact. Very loosely based on a book by Ken Bruin, which itself is a sort of pastiche of Sunset Boulevard. You remember the whole thing with Sunset Boulevard is it's, young guy holds up on Sunset Boulevard in the home of an actress, a past it actress, who does the whole thing, but it's not me, that, I'm still big, it's the pictures that got small. So what you have in Sunset Boulevard, famously narrated from beyond the grave. So what you have here is the similarity is that Colin Firth is the young guy who's just out of prison, trying to go straight, immediately falls into the company of people who are trying to get him not go straight, most notably Ray Winstone's crime boss. Ray Winstone acting with his hair, his beard, and his glasses. And finding himself a job looking after Keira Knightley, who plays the obviously not over the hill but very, very reclusive star, who is completely holed into her apartment because she's surrounded by paparazzi who are taking photographs of her, and from whose prying eyes she is attempting to escape. And there is a sort of uneasy bond formed between Colin Firth's character and Keira Knightley's character. Meanwhile, other forces are closing in because there's a subplot about the fact that a very good friend of Colin Firth's character, seller of The Big Issue, has been killed, and he wants vengeance for that, although he still wants to remain on the straight and narrow. Meanwhile, Ray Winstone wants him to work for him. So the idea of, can he stay on the straight and narrow? Can he find himself a new purpose in life?
I think you said Colin Firth, by the way.
What did I say? Oh, sorry, Colin Farrell. I beg your pardon.
Farrell.
Sorry, as you can tell from that description, there is a superfluity of plot. There is basically, a central line, which is he's trying to go straight and he's trying to find a new life, but all these things from the outside are preventing that from happening. And the other thing is that it's a movie which again, very much like The American, it refers to a number of other movies. Some people have said, for example, that it has a kind of crime capery feel in the manner of the Michael Caine movies. I mean, I think the thing it most obviously relates to is performance, because it's the idea of the rock star and the gangsters holed up in a sort of London tenement where everything is falling apart, and where the lines between stardom and criminality are falling apart. On the good side, we have a very, very good and very funny performance by David Thewlis, who plays this kind of washed-up actor.
He's absolutely brilliant,
isn't he? And he gets
enjoying every second.
He gets the best line in the movie, which I shan't repeat because I don't want to spoil it, and also because I don't think we can sort of decently say it here, but he does that thing. I mean, there are very few people who can roll a line around their mouth like David Thewlis, and it's not just rolled, it's like you can see the line rolling around inside his head before it actually delivers it. And it's a wonderfully kind of reptilian, sort of fey, physical, bedraggled, I was an actor, and then for a while I was on methadone, and then I became a producer, and he makes the most of it. So the main joys of the film are the incidental moments. That Eddie Marsan is terrific in a fairly small role, but again, Eddie Marsan does what he does really well. Keira Knightley actually is pretty well cast. I mean, it seems to me the key to Keira Knightley being good as is to do with her casting roles which play to her strengths. She was very good in The Duchess. Actually, she's very good in this as the terrified starlet who's been sort of shut into her house by this stardom which has happened to her, and obviously at a very, very young age, and which has made her completely reclusive. And I thought she handled it pretty well, particularly since there are some lines she has to deliver which are fairly ropey, including a line when she says, what would you do if I told you that I might have fallen in love with you a little bit last night, which is the kind of thing which, if you were script editing, you just go, nope, she does not say that. The camera tells you what you need to know about that. All in all, the funniest thing about it is that there is this from the producer, which I thought was lovely. He says, he's talking about William Monahan doing it. He says, he said, the film accurately captures the raw testosterone-fueled world of British crime syndicates, right down to the nuances of their accents, according to the UK born. Well, actually, if you had to have the movie up on one thing, it would be that there is a little sort of Tower of Babel-like thing going on with the accents. Actually, I thought Colin Firth's London accent was perfectly acceptable.
Colin Farrell.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to do it all the way through. Colin Firth's accent was fine. Colin Farrell's accent was a little bit every now and then, but actually I thought he generally did a pretty good job. And certainly, all the time I was watching it, I thought it was stylish and it was interesting. It was very much a tourist view of London. It didn't feel at all like actually...
Not many tourists outside Pentonville Prison.
No, I don't mean tourist as in tourist. I mean tourist as in it's an outsider's view. It's a glamorized view of life. Actually, it's not a realistic portrayal of the of London's crime syndicates. It's a realistic portrayal of London's crime syndicates as portrayed in those kind of movies. And once again, like The American, it has a sort of throwback, nostalgic thing to it.
Well, and the music certainly underlines, because the music sounds as though it's a 60s thing anyway.
And as do the graphics in the opening and closing credits. They're sort of saying to you, it's this kind of movie, it's that kind of movie. You know, it's movie related as opposed to, it has nothing to do with reality. I mean, I don't believe in any of these characters in the real world. Ray Winstone is playing a movie crime boss. Colin Farrell is playing a movie ex-con. Keira Knightley is playing a movie star. And oddly enough, that might be why she's so good, because her character is closest to the real world than anything else. It is, in the end, incidental. I don't think it's a great piece of work by any means, but I kind of enjoyed it while it was there, and I thought, and it didn't bottle out at the end. Your own feeling?
Colin Farrell's accent is pretty good. The only trouble with it is when Ray Winstone turns up, you go, that's what a London accent. That's what you sound like if you're a gangster. But
then again, it's like something, if you see Ray Winstone in the Mel Gibson movie recently, when Ray Winstone was doing Boston, I'm sure if you came from Boston, you'd go, hang about a minute.
Should also say it's pretty tough. I mean, there's some pretty tough.
Did you think it was?
There's an unfortunate event involving lots of racist stuff from Ray Winstone's character. Would you just this is quite heavy duty?
Yeah, he's a horrible character. Yeah. I thought Ray Winstone was genuinely quite scary in the way he's meant to be, because he does come across as a genuine, dangerous, bear-like presence.